Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. The second atmospheric river storm hit California in a matter of days and has caused at least 2 deaths. We'll explain what the rainstorm terms mean and how to take precaution. As the election for the next House Speaker continues, 2 lawmakers, including 1 California Congressman, brought their newborn babies to Capitol Hill to join the stalemate sessions. Southwest Airlines issued an apology to the passengers who were impacted by the massive holiday flight cancellations. The world's largest low-cost carrier provided compensation to tens of thousands of passengers. As high winds and heavy rains sweep through the West Coast, at least 2 people have died in California, including an infant. Authorities advise people to take special precautions in the coming days.
Since the start of 2023, California has faced what weather experts describe as a bomb cyclone and atmospheric river. A bomb cyclone refers to a low-pressure storm system that strengthens rapidly within 24 hours, as occurred on Wednesday. And an atmospheric river can be described as long and narrow rivers in the sky that carry water vapor and are responsible for large quantities of rain. The National Weather Service said early Thursday that a significant storm arrived in California, bringing heavy rainfall, flooding with debris flows, and landslides. There has been at least 2 deaths, according to reports. After the Wednesday storm gained strength offshore, it brought hurricane-force wind gusts knocking over a tree in Sonoma County, which fell on a home and killed a 2-year-old infant. A 19-year-old Fairfield resident was also killed on Wednesday when her vehicle hydroplaned on a partially flooded road and ran into a utility pole. Around the Bay Area, evacuations were ordered in Santa Cruz County, including much of the town of Watsonville.
We get home last night, and first thing we did was pack our stuff off the floor and, all the important stuff, gather it, get some luggage ready just in case, and get some sandbags for the possible evacuation.
In San Francisco, high winds damaged a Valero gas station. The city's public works operations were providing free sandbags to SF residents and businesses to help protect against flooding. Meanwhile, the snowpack covering California's mountains is off to one of its best starts in 40 years, officials announced Tuesday, raising hopes that the drought-stricken state could soon see relief in the spring when the snow melts and begins to refill parched reservoirs.
The state's Department of Transportation says that if you're traveling, travel safely and bring essentials like food and extra clothing just in case. And before driving, make sure to give yourself plenty of driving time to reach your destination. Check your car fluids, windshield wipers, and windows, make sure they're clear. And to slow down, because during the winter time, it could take an extra long time to completely stop your car. Reporting in Santa Clara, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
As the negotiation for Kevin McCarthy's bid for House Speaker continues into the 3rd day, reports say some babies accompanied their fathers during yesterday's vote. Congress dads Jimmy Gomez from California and Joaquin Castro from Texas both had their little ones in tow. Gomez says he brought his family to Washington to watch him be sworn in for a 4th term. That ceremony is on hold until House Speaker is chosen. Meanwhile, he's gotten a chance to swap parenting tips with Castro. Gomez's son, Hodge, is 4 months old. The proud father took to Twitter to post more than one picture. Gomez says he's been planning to take his son to the House floor since before he was born, and that no matter what's going on between the parties, he is a constant reminder of what we are fighting for. One congressman joked, "I wonder what age their kids will be by the time we have a Speaker of the House." The longest a House Speaker election dragged on for was 2 months. That was back in 1855. It took 133 ballots to come to a conclusion. Starting this year, new bridge toll benefits go into effect for eligible California veterans. NTD's Jason Blair brings us the update as well as who qualifies for the perk.
Starting on January 1st, qualified U.S. military veterans can enjoy free tolls on California bridges. To qualify, a veteran needs to have a license plate with one of these designations on it: Congressional Medal of Honor, Disabled Veteran, Legion of Valor, Pearl Harbor Survivor, Ex-Prisoner of War, or Purple Heart. Currently, a Fast Track account is not needed. However, if you do have an account, you will need to shield your toll tag by putting it in a Mylar bag to avoid being charged. Mylar bags are provided for free by Fast Track if you don't have one. The benefit is good for all 7 state-owned bridges as well as the Golden Gate Bridge. The waiver is part of Assembly Bill 2949, which was signed into law by California Governor Gavin Newsom back in September of 2022. Also starting this year, qualifying low-income residents in California will be able to request a waiver for outstanding toll bridge penalty fees. The income threshold to qualify is about $55,000 for a family of 4. This new waiver is a part of Assembly Bill 2594, which was also signed into law last September. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
Southwest Airlines apologized for the mass flight delays and cancellations during the holiday season. In an email to Southwest customers, the airline said that they are very sorry for the holiday flight chaos. It states Southwest experienced a unique combination of events that started with severe weather at our busiest airports and transitioned into other operational challenges that stretched our people, processes, tools, and technology. This caused unprecedented widespread cancellations and ultimately impacted your trip. In an effort to make up for it, they are offering 25,000 Rapid Rewards bonus points, equivalent to $300 in credit. There are no blackout dates can be used on any seat and will never expire. Customers will first have to claim a code before the end of March. Sam Bankman-Fried, commonly known as SBF, pleaded not guilty in court on Tuesday. Has been charged with what could likely be the largest financial crime in the history of human civilization. But if he's found guilty, he could potentially be sent to prison for the next 115 years.
SBF was the former CEO of cryptocurrency exchange FTX, which is now bankrupt. People put billions of dollars of their own money into FTX, and he allegedly stole many of those. Prosecutors charged him with 8 criminal counts. These counts include wire fraud and conspiracy by misusing customer funds. SBF has pleaded not guilty to every single one of these counts. And earlier we spoke to former Assistant U.S. Attorney Kevin O'Brien. He says that pleading not guilty is actually a good strategy because it keeps all of his options open.
It's totally conventional to plead not guilty. It would be a shock if anyone in his kind of situation would do otherwise. If he were to plead guilty now, he really wouldn't know the things that were in store for him in terms of sentencing. Like I said, he hasn't gotten any discovery. He doesn't know all the governments or any of the a very small quantum, one can assume, of the evidence the government has.
If SBF were to immediately plead guilty, it would be like confessing without fully knowing what exactly he's confessing to. And also, if SBF were to plead guilty today, the government could even immediately send him to prison. Even if he really did all the things he's accused of, it may still take a long time before he's actually in a prison cell. In the case of Enron, it took 5 years for the head of the corrupt company to have a scheduled sentencing. In the case of Elizabeth Holmes, who cheated patients with her fake blood testing company, it took around 7 years. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Kevin O'Brien says SBF's sentencing will also be a long ways off. This is largely due to the size and complexity of the case.
The government has to produce all of the evidence, all of the, I'm sure, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of emails that they've gathered. All that has to be produced to the defense, and the defense gets the opportunity to digest it and do follow-up and make motions based on all the information to try to get the charges dismissed or reduced. Finally, you have a trial date, and you have to select a jury, assuming he wants a jury trial. All this could take several years easily.
Now, it's impossible to know how long it could take, but according to O'Brien's experience at the Department of Justice, he thinks it could be 2 to 3 years. And in that time, SBF will basically be free on bail as long as he keeps authorities informed on where he is. He's been out on $250 billion bail since late December. SBF's trial date is October 2nd, around 9 months from today.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. Hundreds of new state laws have gone into effect since January 1st this year. We'll review the top 10 most controversial ones that have sparked most debates. Home sales fell sharply across the country, according to residential real estate brokerage firm RedFin. We will show you which 4 Californian cities made the list of largest home sales decline. And a stunning drone footage showing a great whale giving birth to a calf. Both whale watchers were delighted by the once-in-a-lifetime sighting. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Liang Zhang. Federal regulators have ordered Union Pacific Railroad to make sure a livestock producer gets the grain it needs in California. The railroad company blamed weather and a shortage of crews for the delivery issue.
To prevent millions of chickens and hundreds of thousands of cattle from starving, federal regulators have ordered Union Pacific Railroad to deliver enough grain to California. This is the second time in the past year regulators issued an emergency order related to delivery problems at Foster Farms. Union Pacific blamed extreme cold and blizzard conditions that slowed deliveries. It added that the problems at Foster Farms should improve once 5 trains hauling corn already en route arrive. Union Pacific and other major freight railroads have hired hundreds of new workers since the start of the year to help handle all the shipments. But Foster Farms attorney Thomas Wilcox doubted that Union Pacific will deliver on its promises because the railroad has failed to deliver any of its grain trains on time in the past 2 weeks. While waiting for the grains train, Foster Farms has been buying dozens of truckloads of expensive corn to keep its chickens alive.
Hundreds of new laws went into effect on January 1st, including some controversial ones. Here are a few highlights.
Hundreds of new laws took effect on January 1st. Here's a look at 10 laws that were criticized for being controversial throughout the legislative process. First is the highly criticized AB 2098, known as the COVID-19 Misinformation Law. Doctors will now face discipline for spreading so-called misinformation or disinformation about COVID-19, vaccine effectiveness, and other treatments. This is now categorized as, quote, unprofessional conduct. The medical board can take action against any licensed doctor charged with unprofessional conduct. And abortions made headlines in 2022 with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. In response, Senator Tony Atkins passed SB 1375, allowing nurses to perform first trimester abortions without a doctor's supervision. The law intended to expand abortion access as California expects an influx of patients from other states. Staying in the medical industry, SB 107 made California the first transgender sanctuary state. Senator Scott Wiener's bill provides drugs and gender-related surgery services, or so-called gender-affirming care for kids. This includes children who travel to California from other states. It also prohibits state courts from interfering in child custody battles over such treatments. Moving on to the fourth law, AB 257, better known as the Fast Recovery Act, created a new fast food council. It will set standards on wages, hours, and more for fast food chains with more than 100 locations nationwide. The council could raise the fast food minimum wage to as high as $22 per hour this year. Opponents worry that such standards will crowd out small businesses as they scramble to compete. All 4 of these laws are currently facing lawsuits challenging their legality and constitutionality. Speaking of minimum wage, SB 3 will increase the state's minimum from $15 per hour to $15.50 per hour for all businesses, regardless of size. The wage hike was triggered by a 2016 law that requires a minimum wage increase if inflation rises above 7%. A financial advisor previously expressed concern about businesses potentially facing the tough choice of forgoing raises in hiring or raising consumer prices to stay in business. Next up is a new law on criminal records, or SB 731. At least 225,000 Californians with prior convictions or arrests will have their records automatically sealed from criminal background checks. Records will be sealed once people complete their sentence and go 4 years without new arrests, or petition a judge to have theirs sealed sooner. Another bill on the list passed by Senator Wiener is SB 357. The law decriminalizes loitering. Wiener argues it eliminates an anti-loitering offense that leads to harmful treatment of people for simply appearing to be a sex worker. Opponents say it will encourage more prostitution and make it more difficult for police to target sex buyers. And now pedestrians will no longer be fined for jaywalking unless they cause a hazard on the street under AB 2147. Supporters say it will reduce racial profiling and encourage more walking, but opponents worry about increased accidents and pedestrian deaths. Another bill related to transportation is AB 2097. Under this law, cities can no longer enforce a minimum number of parking spots on development projects less than half a mile from public transit. The law seeks to encourage affordable housing by reducing costs, but critics say it will discourage developers as many cities already reduce parking requirements as an incentive for affordable housing projects. And closing off the list at number 10 is SB 1162, known as the Salary Transparency Law. It requires companies with more than 15 employees to start including pay scales in their job postings as of January 1st, 2023.
Both luxury and non-luxury home sales fell nationwide in previous months. 4 cities in California are at the top of the declined list.
According to real estate brokerage RedFin, between September and November 2022, luxury home sales fell more than 38%, and non-luxury home sales fell more than 31% nationwide. Multiple California metropolitan areas made the list, but San Diego, San Jose, Riverside, and Anaheim were among the top 5 with the biggest luxury home sales decline. Nassau County in New York topped the list at nearly 66%. San Diego and Sacramento are in the top 5 for non-luxury home sales decline. The smallest sales decline was in Kansas City at 20%. Redfin cites high interest rates, inflation, a sagging stock market, and fears of recession for the sales decline. But the market is also an element, as luxury goods tend to be among the first to face budget cuts in times of economic stress.
A new year and new life. A group of whale watchers in Southern California witnessed a gray whale giving birth. The rare sighting was captured on video.
During a boat tour in Dana Point on Monday, the crew on Captain Dave's Dana Point dolphin and whale watching safari spotted blood on the water. Usually it means something predatory, but in this case, it was a newborn whale. The crew captured on video the gray whale calf learning how to swim and bond with its mother. She also brought her baby to the boat to say hello. In a statement to NTD, Captain Dave Anderson said, "As far as I know, no one has filmed a gray whale giving birth or even seen it before. We were right there when it happened." According to their press release, gray whales usually give birth in Baja California's lagoons, where it's safe and warm for calves who have not yet built up a thick layer of blubber. But sometimes, calves are born during the migration. Newborn calves are about 15 feet long and will gain 50 pounds a day. The mother can lose up to 30% of their body weight during nursing. Adult gray whales are about 40 to 50 feet long and weigh 30 to 40 tons. Gray whales swim 10,000 to 12,000 miles round trip during their migration along the west coast between the seas near Alaska to Baja California.
Now to NTD's Tyler Castile for an update on sports.
I'm Tyler Castillo, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup. Saddiq Bey beat the final buzzer with a 28-foot three-pointer as the Detroit Pistons withstood the shock of a game-tying three-pointer by Klay Thompson a second earlier. Bojan Bogdanovic hit 5 of Detroit's three-pointers and finished with a team-high 29 points. Klay Thompson had 30 points and Jordan Poole had 24 points for Golden State, which lost despite a shooting percentage of 51.7 and making 15 three-pointers. The Golden State Warriors are currently 20-19 and ranked 4th in the Pacific Division and 9th in the Western Conference. Pistons 122, Warriors 119. John Collins recorded 22 points and 12 rebounds, and DeAndre Hunter added 22 points and 8 rebounds to help Atlanta beat the host, the Sacramento Kings, this Wednesday. De'Aaron Fox scored 25 points, and former Hawks player Kevin Huerter added 24 points for the Kings. Harrison Barnes scored 22 points, and Domantas Sabonis had 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists. The double-double was the 15th in a row for Sabonis, tying the franchise record set by DeMarcus Cousins set during the 2014 season. The Sacramento Kings are currently 20-17 and ranked 1st in the Pacific Division and 5th in the Western Conference. Hawks 120, Kings 117. Dennis Schroeder scored a season-high 32 points, and Russell Westbrook added 21 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds as short-handed Los Angeles earned a victory over visiting Miami. Thomas Bryant had 21 points and 9 rebounds for the Lakers, who are without LeBron James due to illness and Lonnie Walker IV due to soreness in the left knee. Los Angeles won for the 4th time in its past 5 games and pulled off the victory without LeBron James, who had put up a total of 90 points in the previous 2 victories. Bam Adebayo scored 30 points and pulled down 13 rebounds, and Jimmy Butler added 27 points for the Heat, who entered with 4 victories in the previous 5 games. The Los Angeles Lakers are currently 17-21 and are ranked 5th in the Pacific Division and 12th in the Western Conference. Lakers 112, Heat 109. And now to the ice rink. Mason McTavish collected 1 goal and 1 assist as the host Anaheim Ducks blanked the Dallas Stars 2-0 on Wednesday. Adam Henrique also scored for the Ducks, while John Gibson made 35 saves for his 24th career shutout, his first shutout in 14 months. The Stars brought their fathers and mentors on a road trip through Southern California, but dropped both clashes played on consecutive nights. The Ducks went into the game with just 1 win in their last 6 games and 5 victories in their previous 22, sending them to the bottom of the Pacific Division, but they defeated the Central Division leading Dallas Stars. Ducks 2, Stars 0.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.